All right, so we're recording now. So welcome everybody. Thank you. Oops. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much the URA for taking time today to talk with us about the available resources that you have for small businesses and for residences during a time of real crisis where there's a lot of need for people to access resources. So I'm Laura with Pittsburghers for Public Transit. We've been engaged in the conversations specifically around resources in Hazelwood, around the Mon-Oakland Connector work. And part of the reason why we helped facilitate getting this conversation was because many of you had said that you wanted to have some more clarity about how the money that was moved from the Mon-Oakland Connector budget this year in the capital budget discussions in December into a bunch of URA programs, including the Housing Opportunity Fund, the Avenues of Hope, small Black-owned business Main Street program, and the small business resources fund or something like that. That folks were very interested in hearing how Hazelwood residents in particular could be connected to and access some of those resources. And so we really wanted to help make sure that that connection was made. And I want to just give a moment for starting with Pastor Love, if you want to share just a few words as one of the other co-hosts about the Greater Hazelwood Coalition Against Racial and Ethnic Disparities in Praise Temple Church.
Sure. Hello, everybody. Praise the Lord. Just briefly, the Coalition Against Racial and Ethnic Disparities is a subcommittee that was created in cooperation with Praise Temple and For Law, and eventually has now become a full committee up under For Law, who will be leading that committee now. We are involved in trying to assure that all the revitalization efforts that's going on in the Greater Hazelwood community benefit the people who live there, and that the residents have some way to be inclusive in the development activities, giving a voice and making some policy decisions. And now, we could talk more about that. Matter of fact, there will be an article putting in the Hazelwood Initiative and some flyers coming out as well. Praise Simple Deliverance Church, of course, is ministering the word of the Most High to everyone. We are a spiritual-based church that is involved in church-based type of developments. We're planning, along with For Law, to engage in some housing development as well as renovating our church. And for more information, I'd be glad to talk to someone offline.
Great. Thank you, Pastor Love. I'm going to invite Ms. Sandra, if you're able to speak. Do you want to just say a few words about Poor Law? And then I'll invite Sonia, if you're available to speak for a few minutes about, or for, and give an introduction to Hazelwood Initiative before we turn it over to the URA. So Ms. Sandra, do you want to say a few words?
Just that we're a nonprofit. It's a nonprofit out of Hazelwood, a grassroots nonprofit out of the Hazelwood area that focus more on the residents than brick and mortar. And that's just basically it. We would like to know, how we can help our residents more out here in the Hazelwood area with the information that URA is bringing to the table.
Great. And then Sonia, you've done a lot of work already in conjunction with the URA and helping people get access to these resources, but do you want to say a few words?
Sorry, I forgot I was muted. I do. So we're a community development corporation in Hazelwood, serving also Glen Hazel. You'll hear, I think, tonight a lot about the URA's programs for Housing Opportunity Fund, specifically the rental assistance and mortgage assistance program. I just want to mention quickly that we are going to be launching year 2 of our COVID relief program pretty soon. in the next couple of weeks, and that will help to provide rent, mortgage, utility assistance, and assistance with paying your real estate taxes. And the income limits are a little bit higher than the URA. So if you find yourself not eligible for the URA's program, please come to us. We can help you. And if you have questions specifically about your eligibility for either program, we could help you navigate that as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Sonia. So just welcoming a bunch of new folks into the meeting. Thank you so much for joining us. And before I turn it over to the URA, I just want to remind everybody that this meeting is being recorded so that we want to ensure that these resources and the information about them are getting out to the widest possible audience. So we'll make sure that that's passed along afterwards. And then they're going to be talking, and I'll let Corinne share more, but they'll be talking about the resources available in two segments. So talking about residential resources first, and then we'll have time for a Q&A. And then talking about small business resources second, and ensuring that there is time for a Q&A after that as well. But in the meanwhile, like during the presentations, if you have questions that you want to drop in the chat, if you're able to access the chat, it seems like there will be somebody from the URA that will be able to monitor and to the extent possible answer some of those questions in the chat. And then just very quickly, I see a phone number calling in from 412 and ending in a 6499. Can I get your name? So I just like to add the name on the chat. I'm sorry, in the visuals. Is 6499 number?
Yeah, it's Joe.
Okay, great, Joe. Perfect. Okay, so Corinne, take it away. URA show.
Oh, all right. And again, if you can, please mute yourselves so there's not as much sound bouncing around. As Laura mentioned, we're going to start with Jeremy Carter, who works in our Housing Opportunity Fund. He's going to share some of the great resources that we have there. I think he's bringing it up on the screen now. And then Josette Fitzgibbon and myself from our Business Solutions team will be going over some of the federal and local resources for businesses that are out there. And again, after Jeremy's done, he'll take questions. And then after we're done, we'll take questions. Because there are a fair amount of people in this call, please try and use the chat. Or if you're on the, if you're calling in, don't worry, we'll probably open things up during those Q&A sessions and allow you to ask any questions you have at that time. But I think, Jeremy, if you are good to go, we can get going.
Sounds good. So look good on your end?
Yeah, looks good for me.
Great. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Jeremy Carter. I'm the manager of the Housing Opportunity Fund Consumer Programs. Tonight, I just want to talk about a few programs that is available for people who are looking to buy a home or people who need rent, mortgage, or utility assistance. And then a program if you're looking to develop, if you're maybe a small landlord. First program I wanted to talk about tonight is called the CARL program. For lack of a better term, this is for if you are looking for a fixer-upper. With the aging housing stock we have in Pittsburgh, this is a great program if you want to do a purchase and rehab of a property. So you would contact one of our partner banks that works with us on this program. And essentially, if you get approved for your first mortgage, the URA will essentially guarantee 15% of the loan so that you won't have to take on mortgage insurance and save some other costs with that loan. That's essentially a purchase and rehab loan all in one. So that's a good program if that's kind of up your alley and looking to take a property and fix it up and then live in it. There are no income guidelines or restrictions for this program, you would just have to get pre-approved at one of the partner banks. Really popular program right now. It is, difficult time, but also a really hot housing market. And so if anyone is in a position of looking to purchase their first home in the city of Pittsburgh, the down payment and closing cost assistance program from the Housing Opportunity Fund can assist with up to $7,500 for your down payment and closing costs. What this looks like is you would get pre-approved with your first mortgager, and then they would help apply to us for your down payment grant. And essentially, it's a 5 to 10 year deferred loan, no interest, no payments. If you're still in the house after 5 or 10 years, it's forgiven. And so people on the phone, just to give you an idea, the maximum income limit for a family of 2 would be $76,400 a year. The program that Sonia mentioned earlier is the Housing Stabilization Program. This program provides rental, utility, and mortgage assistance to City of Pittsburgh residents. Renters can get up to $3,000 of assistance, and homeowners can get up to $6,000. You just have to be a City of Pittsburgh resident, and renters have an income cap of 50% AMI, and homeowners have an income cap of 80% area median income. And then we work with a network of 12 different nonprofit social service providers throughout the city to administer the program for us and offer other supportive services to help stabilize the housing. And so we have a variety of services within this program to help prevent eviction or just get you caught up on rent or utilities. We use United Way as our coordinated entry point for referrals. So essentially, if anyone needs this mortgage, utility, or rental assistance from us, your first step would just to be call United Way by dialing 211.
Jeremy, could you actually read out some of the facts that are on here? Because I think there are several folks that might not be able to see your presentation, just the renters up to $3,000 for 3 months, up to 3 months, and so on.
Yes, absolutely. So the maximum assistance for renters would be $3,000 or 3 months, whichever comes first. Homeowners, $6,000 or 3 months, whichever comes first. And the types of things that the program can assist with would be if you need to move into a new place, we can help with first, the last month's and security deposit. We can also help with utility deposits to establish utilities at the new place. If you're in current place, we can also help if you have utility or rent in arrears. We can also help with mortgage assistance as long as you have not received an Act 91 notice. At that point, we would have to refer you to the state HEMAP program. And we also have some legal assistance available if you need some legal assistance in terms of stabilizing your housing and preventing eviction. Again, the eligibility here is just to be a renter homeowner in the city of Pittsburgh, and then the area median income limits 50% for renters and 80% for homeowners. So just for people on the phone, just to give you an idea, for household size of 2, the maximum income limits per year for renters would be $33,200, and for homeowners would be $53,150. And then we have the Small Landlord Fund program. This is for people who want to renovate or repair rental housing to ensure that it is for affordable housing. So let's say someone has 3 or 4, up to 10 properties. If they need some financing to preserve that housing, and they need to just fix it up or rehab it so that it's livable. This program would provide up to $20,000 per unit or up to $100,000 per project for that landlord to make the necessary repairs so that it can be rented out as affordable housing. The way the URA ensures that it stays affordable housing is that we place a deed restriction on the properties that are financed with this program. And that essentially says that those properties must be available and rented to households at 80% AMI and below for the life of the loan, which will be 10 or 15 years. Even if the landlord pays off the loan early, it doesn't matter. That property needs to be affordable for the 10 or 15 years. That's a very low interest rate of 3 to 4% right now. And so if anyone is interested in this, we would like to talk to you about your project. Those were the main programs that I wanted to cover, but definitely would be open to taking any questions.
So maybe I'll just start by reading out some of the questions that were in the chat that haven't been answered, and then we'll open it up to the phones. I'm also going to give Tiffany from Hazelwood Initiative an opportunity to talk a little bit about their housing stabilization program, or how the one that they're administering COVID as well. But I saw Ms. Sandra's question was, how could Poor Law become an organization that would help provide services for residents, or maybe be a point of entry for some of the services that you're describing?
Right. So for the housing stabilization program, every year we would do a request for proposals for agencies to be administrators for the housing stabilization program. We have not issued one this year just because of all of the changes with funding. There might be one in the next couple of months, but just right now, we're just trying to manage the funding that we have from all of the stimulus funding with the existing providers. However, if we do open it back up for more providers, we will definitely be sure to share it with this group.
Does that answer your question, Ms. Sandra?
It does, but it don't. I mean, it does, but it don't, because we, I know that HI service some of the people in the community, but we don't service the same people in the community.
We are not one of the administrators for this program. It typically is people like the United Way, or Urban League rather, who have done similar programs before and have a bigger back office management structure than we would.
Okay.
I see a question from Phyllis, and I think you touched on this, Jeremy, that says, have they extended the housing stabilization program? And if so, what's the expiration date? And do you want to just quickly reiterate that?
I'm not exactly sure what the question is asking about extending the program. We did get additional stimulus funding, which helped expand the program. But I mean, there isn't a date where the program is set to expire.
Is it more when the funding expires or is used up, that's when it would sort of sunset?
No, because every year the Housing Opportunity Fund Advisory Board sets the annual allocations for these programs. So as long as the Housing Opportunity Fund Advisory Board continues to allocate funding each year for the program will continue to exist.
Okay. Phyllis, do you have any other questions, or does that resolve the question that you had?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Jeremy, my reason for asking, because I have done some of the HSPs, and I know that at the end of December, they said that if I didn't have my paperwork in, then it would be the end of that. That's why I was asking, did they extend the HSP program? For the simple fact, I know when I did my paperwork last year, they said it would be ending. So I had to get my paperwork in a certain period of time. That's why I asked that question. if they did extend it. But from what you're telling me, you're saying that it still exists, correct?
Yes, Phyllis, and I'm sorry that you received that answer. I would love to follow up with you after this to find out more.
Okay, no problem. Thank you kindly.
And Shannon, you were asking, how do you apply and is there a link? Was that referring to the housing stabilization program or something else?
For the stabilization program. But I think someone put a link in there. I think it's, yeah.
Yeah, Jeremy, I dropped the link to the main page for the HOF programs.
Got it. Yep, I saw it in there. Thank you.
Yep, and
Yeah.
the easiest way to apply for that is just dialing 211 from your phone.
Oh, okay. I got it. Thank you.
No problem.
And then, Jeremy, just quickly, is this a presentation, you're comfortable sharing this after this webinar?
Definitely.
Okay.
Great, thank you. I'm going to take Heather's question in the chat, and then I'm going to ask Tiffany to speak a little bit about the programs that HI are offering around housing stabilization as well. And then we'll open it up to questions from folks on the phone. And we'll unmute everybody that's on the phone, so you won't have to worry about that. So Heather asks, for HSP, will people qualify if they are not delinquent on mortgage payments but have income greatly reduced because of the pandemic? And it said, but I believe that the previous emergency housing assistance required people be 30 days delinquent, and I've managed not to be late on payments.
That is a wonderful question that I will clarify. For the housing stabilization program, our program from the very beginning was intended and structured so that people who were trying to be proactive could get the assistance. So we've never had a restriction that you had to be behind in order to ask for help. However, almost all of the other rental assistance programs operated by the county typically do have that restriction. So it's, that's where a lot of people get that impression. But the great thing about our program is no, you do not have to be behind. Even if you are current, but you suffered income reductions and you're not going to be able to make rent next month. We want you to call now so that we can help you before it gets too late.
Great, thank you. Tiffany, do you want to hop in and just talk a little bit about HI's housing program, assistance program?
Yeah, sure. Sonia covered it in the beginning, but I'll just reiterate for those that came on later. Hazelwood Initiative, we are reopening our COVID-19 response grant, and that's taken from our neighborhood investment funds. So we'll be offering up to $1,000 of assistance for rent, mortgage, or utilities. And we're adding property tax as well to that, because I know there's some community members that may own their homes, and so they don't have a mortgage, but they are suffering with the property taxes. So we want to help our community to stay together, make sure everybody can stay in the neighborhood, because that's what we're about, development without displacement and a stronger Hazelwood together. So up to $1,000. That'll be launched on our website. So if you know people that applied before, we had a paper application. That does complicate things and slows things down in terms of tracking everybody's information, entering it in. So we've created a new online form, and it is a type of form that you can actually fill out on your phone. So that should be easier for everyone to just be able to fill out the form on their phone and then email the documents that are needed. And the documents that you would need are going to be proof of ID, which could be your ID, proof of residency, which could be a bill, and then proof of income. So that would be your W-2 or your Social Security income statement. And then, proof of need in terms of an actual bill that needs to be paid, because we pay the bill directly to your landlord or your mortgage lender or whoever you owe that money to. That's who will receive that. So we just need something that says what the actual bill is. For landlords, we have a landlord form for them to fill out. And you can just take a picture of those documents and email them, so you don't have to come in. But if you do need to come in, you can just schedule an appointment and we can scan the documents at the office. But this is designed to be as easy as possible, to maximize the number of people that qualify and can get assistance. And we try to get it out within 2 weeks. I can't hear you, Laura.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. And folks can ask questions of Tiffany and Sonia in the chat too, if you'd like. And so
Yeah, that'll be on our website starting on Monday,
okay.
hazelwoodinitiative.org.
And so foolishly, by muting everybody, I realized it might be hard for Mr. Homer and Pastor Love to unmute themselves now, although I've asked you to unmute. So that might, I'm sorry about that. Hopefully Miss Ursula is around to help Mr. Homer. And I'm sorry, Pastor Love, I know that you said that you were not with anybody else at this moment, but I saw that Joe was able to get off mute. Is there a question that you had?
So what percentage of the Hazelwood residents is going to be able to get this?
Are you addressing that to HI or to the URA?
I'm talking about both of them. Like, I guess the question would be for both.
I mean, in terms of HI, we do have limited funding, but we're going to try to help as many people as we can. And if there are people that want to donate to that, we'll take that so we can expand, the number of people that we can help. But we are trying to help as many people as we can. Our income level is quite high compared to other programs. It's up to 100% of area median income. So we're trying to make this available to as many people as possible.
Thank you.
Jeremy, do you want to respond to that too?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously would like to serve as many Hazelwood residents as possible, and so the more you can spread the word to have people in need call 211 for this program, we would definitely appreciate that. In terms of funding, I mean, there's honestly plenty of funding still available for both renters and homeowners. So we are here to help as many Hazelwood residents as possible.
I would advise people, if they're calling 211, to ask for the program by name. Because in my experience, when we've had people call, they just get a list of information from 211 and they don't get directed to that program directly. So do mention by name that you are calling about the housing stabilization program.
Great. I see that Mr. Homer, that you've gotten off mute. Do you have any questions that you'd like to ask?
Not at this time. I'm paying attention, but it seems like everybody's asking the questions that I would have asked.
Okay, good. I'm going to keep you off of mute so that we don't have that problem again. I see Heather asked for the housing stabilization program, what documentation is required?
Great question. The bare minimum that we would need is very similar to Hazelwood's program. We would need copy of your ID, income documentation, your lease, and just any bills to state what you owe. And then if you are seeking assistance because of some kind of COVID-19 effect, you had to lose hours or something like that, we would just need you to document that on one of our forms to say how COVID affected you. But bare minimum, ID, income, lease, and bills.
Are there questions about the other programs that they mentioned? There's the down payment assistance program, the purchase rehab program, and the small landlord program. I just want to make sure that we're covering all of the programs that were mentioned, if anybody has questions.
I have a question. I'm off of mute.
Oh, great. Thanks, Pastor Love. Sorry about that.
I had to go outside and get my son. But I have a question on that $20,000 program that that landlords can have to renovate their house to make available to low-income residents. Do you have to have bank approval for the $20,000, or it just comes straight to the URA?
This would come straight from the URA. So you would not need bank approval. You would just get approved through us. Now, if your project is gonna cost well over $20,000 per house, then we would just want to see how you would be able to finance the rest of it. But if it's within the $20,000, it would just be through the URA.
Thank you.
And we'll send this out to show what the criteria is, but essentially you just have to be the owner of the property, be current on your taxes, and have a minimum credit score of 600.
And Ms. Sandra, your question, does the URA offer home repairs?
A
So
program, yeah.
The program, yeah.
the answer is yes. We have the homeowner assistance program, which can provide up to $30,000 financing for home repairs. Now, as you can imagine, that program is very popular, and we have had to shut it down to new applications just because we have way more applications than we have funding for. Now, I hope to open that back up sometime this summer so that we can assist more people, but it does depend on how fast we can work through the wait list and available funding.
Great. Are there any other? Oh, go ahead.
Yes. So I was wondering, so some of that money that's being redirected to Hazelwood, that wouldn't, none of that money would be directed to repairing homes?
As far as I'm aware, that is being funneled through the housing stabilization program.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. What are the list of banks that are giving the funding? You provide that information to us also?
For which program?
Honestly, I know you presented 3 and I can't remember which one, but I know you said that at the beginning there was a list of banks that, and it might be the Carl program.
Yeah, for the Carl program, the kind of fixer-upper program, there's 4 banks that we partner with, and that's Slovak Savings, First Commonwealth, Farmers National, and SSB or Standard Bank. Those 4 are who we work with for this program. For the down payment assistance, you would just have to get approval from any lender for your first mortgage.
Also, so will that information be in with your presentation? So I'll be able to access this on a later date?
Absolutely. I will definitely share this presentation. It'll have the bank information and the contact person that you would contact who knows about this program.
That sounds great. Appreciate you.
Great. Are there any other questions around the housing piece before we move on to the small business support and resources that they have to offer? And I'll just say,
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
So this is Tiffany. I was just wondering, because I hadn't realized that the money, like you were talking, that last question was saying that money had been moved specifically for Hazelwood into the housing stabilization program. And I was just wondering is there like a deadline on that? Like if the money doesn't get used, does it get moved to another program?
From what I saw in the legislation, I did not see anything about that. So part of that is going through to the housing stabilization program. Part of it is going to a new legal assistance program that we are hoping to start in March, which will provide legal assistance to city residents for housing related legal issues.
Okay, so but this money that's been shifted into the program is for anybody in the city of Pittsburgh. It's not specifically for Hazelwood residents, correct?
As far as I'm aware, yes.
Okay.
But it should be for Hazelwood residents. That money that got shifted should be designated to the Hazelwood area if that's money that they took out of a pot that they want to do the work for Hazel, in the Hazelwood area. I don't know who get to dictate where the money goes.
I believe this was a resolution that Councilman Corey O'Connor presented. So I don't disagree, but I believe he was the one that introduced the legislation to move the funding.
This is Pastor Love. Can I speak?
Sure.
Okay. So uh, is we know we're aware of the legislation, but like Sandra said, we thought that money was also going to come to Hazelwood, and also to repair sidewalks, and around the Bergman Field. That's what we were told.
So I think I'll just jump in here and say that there was additional money that's not the money that was earmarked for the URA, that was specifically for Hazelwood sidewalks, Sylvan Avenue. And I think you were in contact with Councilman O'Connor over the public works budget. Yeah. So I think those are separate pots of money. So those exist. I mean, certainly the sidewalks and the Sylvan Avenue was specifically designated in the budget, and the public works conversation I know was ongoing with him. But yeah, so the URA just doesn't manage that.
Yeah, I'll just jump in real quickly. I saw, I think in the capital budget, there's around 350,000 that says Avenues of Hope, that actually, I think through Councilman O'Connor, is with DOMI. And I don't know any more detail than that, but maybe that's what is they were planning to use it for. But I know it says Avenues of Hope, but it's actually DOMI is going to be using it for, sidewalks or other things like that.
Yeah, that money should have went towards the people in the Hazelwood area.
Housing.
Yeah, housing. And I guess that's something that we would have to take up with Corey, because if it's not helping the people that's in Hazelwood, I mean, the fight that we fought, we won, but did we really win? Because there's residents that need that help out there. That money should have been designated for Hazelwood, greater Hazelwood community.
I mean, I think that makes sense. I think also just the more people are aware of this funding and the ways to be able to access them from Hazelwood, the more money will flow to Hazelwood. And so I think helping get the word out as much as possible that this exists. It doesn't seem like, is there a cap on the amount of funding that can go to any particular neighborhood from your understanding?
No.
But it's competitive for the whole city. That's what Sandra's saying. The likelihood of residents from Hazelwood receiving the bulk of the money then is like when it's more competitive.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that, yes, it's taken out of our community and it's opening up for a broader community. That's not what we fought for. We fought for the Hazelwood residents.
Jeremy and Corinne, has it been your experience that it's been really competitive to access these grants or loans?
Well, yes, 2020 has been a very difficult year to get assistance, as I don't think everyone has seen and read. I will say, there is some relief coming in March when the county will issue their second round of rental relief. And the URA is not going to administer relief funding in that way like we did last time. We actually are giving our allocation from the Treasury to the county so that there's one program for city and county residents. And there's not two different processes, two different programs, two different eligibilities based on where you live. So that is coming in March, I believe. But yes, it is a little competitive just because there is far more demand for need than there is funding.
Yeah, on the commercial side, it's fairly competitive, but we haven't necessarily run through all that funding, kind of like with the housing programs. But yeah, I would just follow up with Councilman O'Connor's office, because he honestly knows more about that reallocation process than Jeremy or I. We're not really privy to sort of what the idea was there.
Yeah, we aren't either. And it seems like there's a glitch in the system, especially if our residents ain't getting any of that money that was designated to Hazelwood. That's a problem. But I'm not going to take it up with you or Jeremy. I will take it up with Ms. Corey O'Connor.
All right, so I want to make sure we have time for the business assistance. So do you want to turn to that if nobody has any other questions? And of course, if other questions occur to people, you can drop them in the chat or we can raise them after we talk about the business assistance. All right, go ahead.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, music.
so I think I'm sharing my screen. Is that right?
Yes.
I'll take that as a yes. All right. So again, my name is Chris Sacedo. I'm with the Business Solutions team. Not that you guys care that much, but last year the URA went through a restructuring. So we have a lending department, and then Josette and I are with a new department that's trying to do connect businesses with different resources, either that we would offer or that partners offer. But we're also doing business district assistance, rolling out programs for daycare centers. And obviously we did a lot of programs. We were focusing on small business assistance related to the sort of COVID situation. So I'm just going to touch quickly on some of the federal tools that are out there right now, and then Josette will talk about some of our local programs. So if you're a business owner right now, I mean, you should be looking into the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program. That is, unless you're a theater or a venue that might be considering the shuttered venue grant, of which it's either one or the other. I'm pretty sure everyone that's probably on this call or in the Hazelwood area should be focusing on the PPP program. Now, I'm not an expert in the PPP program, but we've hosted a couple folks who are. I think the obvious thing is just go to your lender. If all the money flows through banks or CDFIs, but you should be going to your bank and asking them what their requirements are, what their process is. That would be step number one. The SBA is the website to go to for all information, the Small Business Administration. So just be careful of things you might see out there on Facebook or whatever. There's a little bit of misinformation out there or old information. Go to the SBA's website if you're looking for the correct information on the PPP program or the other programs that are out there. I think the basic things right now for businesses to start doing are to get the DUNS number. Again, this page on the SBA website helps you just, click a link, apply, get your DUNS number. You're going to need that for the application if you didn't have it already for the first round. And then you register with SAM. It's called the System for Award Management. That's another basic thing you just need to knock out. Sometimes there's a little delay in getting those numbers. So that's where I would start. And then getting your paperwork in order in terms of your financial statements. Those are going to be the big things that are, might take you a little bit of time. And yeah, if you're looking for more specific assistance applying for the PPP or for other federal sources, there's a couple great SBA partners locally. We work a lot with Chatham University. It's called the Center for Women's Entrepreneurship, but it's open for women, for men, whoever. It's small business focused, free assistance. You just get in touch with them and they can help you one-on-one explain how you apply for some of those federal funds. So I'm not going to get into the details, quite frankly, because I don't know all the details of what the percentage of income loss you're gonna have to get into for applying. I'm gonna keep it basic. Go to your bank, go to the SBA website, and go to someone like the Chatham University Center for Women's Entrepreneurship. And then I'll touch real quickly on the avenues of hope, because that's also sort of within the department. It's in a lot of our departments. But it's what Josette and I are sort of working on now. Avenues of Hope is actually, it's specific neighborhoods, including Hazelwood, and the focus is on building up traditionally those the business districts in these areas. How we do that is still being worked out. So just to put a little caveat in the sense that we're hoping to develop some of those tools that could give additional assistance to business owners in that area or local folks who want to develop those buildings, property owners that need renovations within those businesses. Some of those tools, quite frankly, are still being worked out. It's not always easy to use public dollars on business, the interiors in particular. It just, if anyone has worked with CDBG funds, we're kind of working through the lawyers on some of what's eligible and not eligible. But we do have a lot of tools that we're going to be using everywhere, also in the Avenues of Hope, that I'll turn it over to Josette to kind of give a quick overview on our various programs that are funded. They're available. All you need to do is apply to them and have either one of our folks in the lending division or one of the folks in our business solutions department can get in touch with you and kind of walk you through that. So I'll shut up and just manage the screen. And Josette, I don't know if you want to take over and start telling folks about the different loan funds.
Sure. Thanks, Corinne. So I'm Josette Fitzgibbons. I'm a business program officer at the URA and the Business Solutions Center. Just a note before I get into our programs, if you have questions about these federal programs that are coming down, the PPP and the EIDL, number one, please know that information is coming in fits and starts to any of us that have anything to do with it. So the federal government hasn't completely figured it all out yet. So the information's trickling down as they figure it out. And one of the best sources for information about these programs is the Chatham Center for Women's Entrepreneurship. And so I stuck their website link in the chat. They can, and you don't have to be a female-owned business to be serviced by them. And also Pitt and Duquesne also have small business development centers. So any of those are really good resources for learning about these programs. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the programs that the URA has for small businesses in the city. You know, we've worked a lot in all of the neighborhoods throughout the city. We've done many loans in Hazelwood and worked with a lot of your businesses there and worked a lot with you folks in the community as well. So the first loan I'm going to talk about is one that we just released this past summer. It's the Minority Business Recovery and Growth Loan. This is a program that is focused on minority businesses throughout the city, minority and women-owned businesses throughout the city. And it's really for businesses that are looking to move to the next step of their business, whatever that is. If they're looking to expand, if they're looking to do work on the space that they're in, you know, do some improvements in their business. If you're looking to move to another space to expand your business or expand the scope of your business. This is a loan amount. These are all loans. This is a loan amount up to $100,000. The really great thing about this loan is that your interest rate for the first year is 0%, and you can defer payments for the first year. So you can get this loan and get moving with it and have 12 months before you have to make the first payment. And then the interest rate after the first year is 2% for the balance of the loan term, which is 7 years. There are no application fees with this program. And it's one of the great things of working with the URA and lending is that we are more flexible in underwriting than a bank. So if you've had some issues with your business, if you've had some issues that you haven't been able to get bank financing, you can often come to us. And as long as your business is strong, you have a strong strong business plan, then we're happy to work with you. So Corinne, can you go on to the microloan, and then I'll talk about technical assistance. So the next loan that we have is our most popular loan by far, and this is our micro enterprise loan program. This is really for small and startup businesses that need some funds to either launch their business or do some growth of their business. This program is up to $30,000, and it can be for working capital, equipment, inventory, and leasehold improvements. So those are the improvements of the space that the business is in. Again, the loan amount is between $5,000 and $30,000. It's an interest rate of 2%, and it's between 3 and 7 years is the term of the loan, depending on what you're getting the funds for. There are small application fees that are due when you're applying for the loan, and when you are approved for the loan. The thing about this program is two things. Number one, again, we're a pretty flexible lender. So if you have a strong business and a business plan, and we can see that it's going to be a business that is successful, that you have your finances, the numbers worked out for it, but you've had some issues. You know, life sometimes gets in the way of these things, and you might have had a divorce or an illness, or something has happened in your life that has affected your credit score. We can still work with you, particularly on the micro enterprise loan program. So just remember that if you've been turned down by a bank, that doesn't like kick you out of the program. So we really want to help. The other thing is with our loan programs, and particularly the micro enterprise loan, we refer you for free technical assistance for the program. And again, it's through the Chatham Center for Women's Entrepreneurship, as well as the city's financial empowerment centers. And this is assistance that's a little bit above what you might just get from inquiries and help with the Center for Women's Entrepreneurship or the working with the Small Business Development Center, so that we can help you if you need help finishing your business plan, if you need help figuring out what do we mean by we need to see your financials, like what does all that mean, or if you need help with something like, you know, my business is that I'm making lipstick and I'm really good at it, but I don't know how to price it. So we can help with those kind of startup things that you don't always know when you're getting your business. So those are the two main loan programs that we have. We have some others as well. And the best thing that I always say is to either give us a call or inquire on our website. And Corinne just shared our website link. And if you go in for either of these loans and just, yes, sir. Is that Mr. Homer?
I have a question. This is Homer Craig talking. I'm interested in starting a small business, But is there any limitation on the age of someone starting out in a small business?
Absolutely not. You know, if you come in and you have, I suggest a couple of things before you would come to talk to us. One would be just get your information, your ideas down on paper, like get started with a business plan for what you want to do. That doesn't mean it has to be completely fleshed out, because that's the kind of thing we can help with once you're in the system. But, you know, you can go online to the Carnegie Library business section, and you can see some sample business plans of just, you can put a few lines in and have my idea. But as long as it's an idea and you've started to think it through and you think of how much you might need for it, it's worth talking to us.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And sometimes
This is, I'm sorry. This is Pastor Lott. The business type of business, are they limited to construction? Can they be consultant businesses or other type of business not related to renovation?
Oh, yeah. I mean, our small business, we provide loans to retail businesses, to restaurants, to daycares, to construction businesses, cleaning businesses, legal consulting businesses. You know, it's just, it's any kind of business is eligible for our loan programs.
Thank you.
Now saying that, I would say the only businesses that we don't provide funding for are businesses that might be like a pyramid scheme. I don't necessarily mean to say that badly, but if you're an Amway distributor or something like that, we don't fund those. And there are some businesses like franchises that we look at on a case-by-case basis. But otherwise, you know, come in and talk to us. And I do always say, come in and talk to us, you know, or, well, at this point in life, contact us either through the website or giving a call. All the contact information is on our website, or email us, because sometimes these are longer term relationships that you might come to us now with your idea and your thoughts, and it might not flesh out for 6 months or a year, but you can always come back to talking with us. So the next program I want to talk to you about is our Get Online, Grow Online program. And we partner with Neighborhood Allies. And this is, you know, we offer some programs that are not direct loans, but that we provide you with a service and with some help with your business. This Get Online, Grow Online, you can receive up to 10 hours of free technical assistance that will help you with your online business, with your website, with social media, with either improving your website or building one. We know, particularly with product-based businesses right now, it's been really difficult, and a lot of businesses have had to shift to selling online, to taking online orders if it's a food business. And this, the Get Online, Grow Online is designed to help build your online business, build your website. Some businesses come to us with just I want to really ramp up my social media presence, and we can help with that. The business needs to be an existing business, so this is not for startups. And usually we say businesses that have been in business for about a year. We want to deal with just small businesses, so something that's less than 15 employees. And right now, it's a business that has to be located in the city of Pittsburgh, which you guys are all, Hazelwood obviously is in the city of Pittsburgh. So, and this is a rolling program. We started it last year with having application times and deadlines, but this year it's a rolling program. So if you're interested in applying, you can go on the URA website and this information is on there, and you can click the application and put your application in. The only thing, as all of our programs, the one thing I would say is if you have a business or know businesses that might be interested in this program, get in now, because we have funding right now. We're hoping to be able to put more funding into this program this year, as is Neighborhood Allies. This is a partnership, but we're never sure how long we're going to have funding. So hopefully we can continue this well into the future. And we are looking again at the program. We'll be partnering with the county as well to expand it to low and moderate income areas throughout the county, but that's not quite there yet. But definitely within the city of Pittsburgh, if you know businesses that need help with their digital business, tell them to take a look at this program. And the last program that I'm going to talk for a minute about, and that Corinne is also working on, is our commercial rent relief program. And this is the commercial rent relief matching program. This is something that we started in the fall because we were hearing from businesses that, just similar to on the commercial side, you know, I've had to close my business. I mean, similar to the residential side, just running into being able to pay your bills. I've had to close my business, or you know, I'm only allowed to have a certain number of people in the business, and my receipts are down, and I'm having trouble making my rent every month. So this is actually, in truth, a grant to the landlord. We're working with the businesses and the landlords to give the landlord some matching funds to be able to reduce the rent of their businesses. So if a business has been talking to the landlord, and the example here is if your monthly rent for your business is $3,000, and you are talking to your landlord about rent reduction, and you can get the landlord to say, okay, I'm going to reduce your rent to $2,000, then the URA will cover 50% of the reduction. So we'll give the landlord $500, and it gives them a little incentive to work with the businesses. This is something that will last between 3 and 6 months. So it'll give the business some time to get their feet under them. Participating businesses, we want to see brick and mortar businesses in the city of Pittsburgh. So this is really the storefront businesses for this program. So it's not, you know, the doctor's office that is in the medical building or anything like that. These are really kind of the heart and soul of our neighborhood commercial corridors, the businesses that are in the storefronts. And the other thing is the business has to lease from an unrelated entity, which means you can't own the building that you have your business in and basically be asking for a rent reduction from yourself, because that's kind of double dipping. And then we don't generally help banks and savings and loans, chain stores or chain businesses. We don't generally help. or what I said, the pyramid, the multi-level marketing enterprises, and there's a few other on our list here, and this is all available on the website as well. The landlord has to commit to this reduction for 3 to 6 months, and the property has to be current on property taxes through 2019. And we said that through 2019 because we know, everything kind of went up in the air in 2020, and everybody, a lot of people have gotten behind on a lot of things. So we're asking that the property be current through 2019, or you can also be on a payment plan as well. It's an online application, and it's a pretty easy application. So I think that's it for what we wanted to cover. Corinne, did I miss anything?
No, the one thing I'll throw in there is Allegheny County also has a nice loan right now that's 0%. It's 3 years. I forget what the cap is, but I think our loans are great and pretty flexible. The county has a great loan right now. I know not everyone has the ability to take on more debt, but if you're a business that's just trying to get a loan for a couple months to get you through, next 6 months or whatnot, these are products to keep you afloat. We try and promote our programs, and we have been trying to stay creative and put these out there. If the state comes up with a new program, we obviously get them out via our social media. We also try and connect with our business districts and the CDC. So I think HI probably gets an email blast every week or two from us or from Henry at the city if there's any updates on any of these resources. So I would say either be keeping an eye on our website or our social media, or be on HI's, whatever their mailing list is as well when there's resources that come down the pike. So we'll see. Sorry, I was going to go back. You see any questions?
We were going to jump on the questions in the chat. So I'm going to jump on Laura's role here and look at the questions, if that's okay. We have a question from Shannon and Antoine. How long do you have to be in business, and what does the credit score need to be? The how long do you have to be in the business depends on the program. Again, the microloan program in particular is for startups. So you can be just starting your business. So that really depends on the program. For the microloan, I would say the minimum credit score is pretty low. I'd say about 550-ish. But if it's 550, you have to have a really good explanation as to why it's 550. It's a little bit higher for the larger minority business growth loan, just because it's a larger amount of money. If we're going to give you a larger amount of money, we need a little bit more stability showing there. Sandra, you had a question of what if you just started a business in February 2020 and COVID hit in March, what do I do? Can you explain that a little bit?
Yes. So we started a business in February, I believe it was like February 21st or something, and we were just getting ready to get into the motion of the business, and COVID hit. So I was just wondering, do we qualify to sign up for the loan, or is there another process or anything?
So I would say for the URA, particularly the microloan, I would say that there's a good chance that you do, because it is for startup businesses. and I definitely look into that.
Okay.
For the federal programs, I'm not, I don't think so. I think that the business establishment date had to be, was before February 2020. I think it was, they're looking for a 2019 startup time.
Oh,
So,
okay.
you know,
Okay.
I'm not completely sure on that, and you can, you know, check
Double check.
with the folks on at Chatham. But for
Okay.
the URA programs, you know, we want to help startups, so
Okay.
we can our loan programs can help for that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I put Mark Connor is the gentleman, the loan officer who handles that county loan for 0%. Again, that's CARES Act money. Like, they're really trying to get that money out. It's a preference to minority and women-owned businesses, but it's not. You don't have to be. They don't have a good website for whatever reason on that product, but Mark's great. I would email him if you're also interested in finding out about their loan. I don't know about whether you have to be in business for a certain amount of length of time for that one.
Okay. Thank you.
You can also use, you can use both in terms of the URA and the county.
Yes, ma'am.
You can do both. We're not, they're not exclusive in any way. So, you know, there's a lot of, there's flexibility there.
Okay. Thank you.
Barbara asked if there was funding for nonprofit organizations or nonprofit businesses. That's a case-by-case basis. Honestly, it depends on the business. That definitely is, you know, that's a question too for our commercial lending folks. That's a little more detailed than I know, but I do know they look at things like that on a case-by-case basis.
I just want
I
to
know.
go ahead, Fred.
Real quickly, unfortunately, our rent relief and our GO-GO, the Get Online program, are not eligible for nonprofits.
I just want to jump in and just read the comment that Sonia left in the chat about the Paycheck Protection Program. So she said that though any bank can work with any business owner, and I wanted to also add that nonprofits also can access the Paycheck Protection Program. Many banks, at least in the first round, would only work with customers or people who had already had an account with them. But the Paycheck Protection Program is essentially a forgivable loan, or what ends up seeming like a grant, provided that you keep people on payroll that had been, or right, that had been employed prior to the pandemic hitting, is my understanding.
Yeah.
If you're looking to apply or reapply for the PPP program, we always say go to the lender you worked with before or to the bank that you work with. But if you're not able to, or they're not servicing them, then I do know the folks at Chatham have some, there are some banks that will work with businesses that are not clients of theirs at the time. So they're a good resource for that.
Yeah, I know Key Bank is really trying to work with new folks who don't have a existing bank, and I think maybe
First
Citizens
Commonwealth.
Bank, First Commonwealth,
Dollar Bank as well, I believe.
Dollar Bank, yeah, and I apologize, Laura. I apparently, you know, I didn't do a very good job at the very basic overview of the PPP, which, right, it's a loan that's forgivable if used for acceptable expenses, generally payroll, but they've loosened that up a little bit, where you can also find other eligible expenses.
I think like overhead and like rent and other, keeping the lights on, are also considered acceptable uses.
Yeah, I think you can get up to, yeah, I think maybe up to 50 or 60% has to be payroll, but there's other, you know, other things that are eligible as well within that. the
And
bundle.
we do know in the second round, in this coming round of PPP, that they have increased the percentage that can be non-payroll for overhead.
Right.
And I think, well, Corinne, I think you said 50 or 60%. I think that I heard that the percentage for overhead is 40%. So 60%
Mhm.
payroll, 40% other expenses on your business.
Yeah, the one other program I didn't really mention, the EIDL was a program that was popular last summer. Let's see, emergency injury disaster loan. They did something kind of interesting where that's not really open to apply for that. What they'll do is they'll take people who didn't receive money but who applied last time for that EIDL, and they'll contact you and be like, here, do you want this grant money? So it's a little bit wonky where it doesn't appear like you can apply to the EIDL right now, but they will come to you and apparently try and give you money. So yeah, that's where I would say I would focus my efforts on what you can control, which would be the PPP.
So I'm just going to say that in the chat, Corinne dropped that if you want to contact the county for information on their 0% loan, you can reach out to Mark, mark.connor, CONNER @AlleghenyCounty.us. And then Ms. Tira, do you want to explain your question? So she writes, how would a nonprofit go about contacting those parties? But I think we might have moved on to the thing that you were responding, or from the thing you were responding to. So just making sure that we know what you're asking about. You're good, Ms. Tira. We can hear you now.
That she was mentioning as far as the grants are concerned, how do you go about contacting? Hello?
Hey.
How are everyone doing this evening? I was just, to revisit you answered someone's question about the nonprofit entities and how they go about getting the grant funding. And you said there were certain parties that, would look into doing a case-by-case basis. And I was just interested in knowing exactly how will we go about contacting those parties.
So that was me, and that was talking about the loan products that are available through the URA for the business loan products. And the best thing is to look on our website. Our website is ura.org. It's a really easy website. And, that's where you can look at the list of products that we were talking about, and just the contact information is all there that you can contact our lending department and talk to a loan officer and figure out if what you're asking funds for is something that's eligible for our loans. If any of you want to get connected to the information that we've been talking about tonight, as we said, we'll have this recording will be available and can share the stuff that we've been talking about. But you can also always email me or Corinne. I just put my email in the chat, but it's J Fitzgibbons. That's J F as in Frank, ITZGIBBONS @URA.org. And we can connect you with the folks that have the money.
All right, thank you very much. I just, because you didn't really expound upon that, so I just wanted you to go in a little deeper. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Joe, were you going to ask a question? I thought I saw you were about to say something.
No, I ain't saying nothing. I'm good.
Okay.
You guys answered my question.
Are there other folks with questions? So I saw on the flyer, we accidentally said this was going till 8:30, and that was not intentional. we were planning on having it to go till 7:30, but if there are other questions, I think folks will stay on hopefully until they're answered. Any other questions people have? And I will make sure that both the video and I'll pull out the relevant links from the chat, and I'll save the chat as well, so that people, and I'll send it out to the folks I've already been emailing out to. And I know that HI and, and Poor Law and Praise Temple and Greater Hazelwood Coalition Against Racial or Ethnic and Racial and Ethnic Disparities can help amplify this information. Anything else people want to ask before we lose these folks?
No, I just like to, this is Pastor Love. I'd like to thank everybody for cooperating, and this is just to show how we can come together, bring information to the Greater Hazelwood community.
Yeah, we really appreciate the invitation from everybody to come out and share our information about our residential, our commercial programs. Obviously, we're here to help as many people as we can right now, and keep people in their homes and keep businesses functioning. So, let us know what we can do.
All right, last call. Anybody else want to have any questions for people before we end the meeting? All right. Hi, Mr.
I have one question.
Go ahead, Pastor Love.
Okay. Landlords or developers who get loans from the URA to renovate their property, and they are involved in scrupulous activities like evicting residents, displacing people. What can we do to have the URA take their money away or put them on some kind of block list or whatever kind of list it is?
Unfortunately, I don't know. Jeremy, are you still on the call? That isn't directly what Josette and I work with. Obviously, we share your concern that if the URA was giving money and the landlord was not fulfilling their expectations, usually we have decent, contracts in place that would restrict things like that. Unfortunately, we don't have a good answer for you. Besides, I think we have restrictions, but it's worth for us to look into, and I can pass that along to our Housing Opportunity Fund director just to make sure that that's not happening. If you've seen it, be interested to hear about it.
Yeah, we know one that purchased 2 homes so far, and they told us that they're using URA money as well, and they just placed the residents that were living in the house. So we just need to know, how do we go about filing that complaint? And you don't necessarily have to deal with it now, but if there's some way, let us know, please.
Yeah. I know it's not easy for you in this moment, but you can give us a call, or my email is in the chat, or maybe Laura, we can follow up on this item and figure out who the person is and see what the situation is with our residential lending.
Thank you.
And I realized that, but you were mostly, you're right, sorry. The first presenter, Jeremy, had a presentation, but you were just scrolling through the website, right? There's not a presentation we could send out for the residential. Uh-oh. Sorry, my kids are about to run inside. So anyways, we'll send out this recording and make sure that everyone has access to this at a minimum. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just want to thank you, Laura, for bringing everybody together as well. Thank you very much.
Oh, of course. It's my pleasure. Thanks everybody for joining us, and please share this around and make sure the word gets out, because the more people that apply and know about these services, the more it goes into the Hazelwood community, right? So.
Okay.
Right.
God bless everybody.
Right.
Thanks everybody.
All right. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, guys.
Good night,
This
everyone.
meeting was great. Good night.
Good night.
I'll talk to you in a little bit.
God bless you.
Stay safe, everybody.
Yes, sir.
Bye.
Everybody be safe.
Yeah. appreciate the process. I gotta come.
Thanks again, Josette. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Lord.
All right. Take care, Mr. Homer.
Mm-hmm.
You disconnect me, please.